Hey, and back today for another one of our mini messages. And today we're still in Genesis chapter 17. We're looking at verses 3 through 8. It says in verse 3, "At this, Abram fell face down on the ground. Then God said to him," and I'll stop right there. Remember, when you go back to verses 1 and 2, context is king. That's what always matters. God has appeared to him, okay? And it was Jesus Christ appearing to him in this moment. This is one of those pre-incarnate Old Testament appearances of Christ. He told him right there at the end in verse 2, "I will make a covenant with you by which I will guarantee to give you countless descendants." That's a really important phrase for Abraham. He's been waiting on these descendants. He's been waiting on this promise that happened all these years ago, almost now 25 years back in Genesis chapter 12, to be this great nation. And he doesn't even have a child by Sarah. He's got Ishmael. And so he falls down on his face when he hears this. Let's pick up verse 4. "This is my covenant with you. I will make you the father of a multitude of nations." Not one nation, many nations, a multitude. Verse 5, "What's more, I am changing your name. You will no longer be Abram. Instead, you'll be called Abraham, for you will be the father of many nations. I will make you extremely fruitful. Your descendants will become many nations, and kings will be among them." And they sure would be. "I will confirm my covenant with you and your descendants after you from generation to generation. This is the everlasting covenant. I will always be your God and the God of your descendants after you. And I will give the entire land of Canaan, where you now live as a foreigner, to you and your descendants. It will be their possession forever and ever." So, Abraham shows great submission by falling on his face before God. He's overwhelmed by what God has said to him. And he falls on his face, back up at the start of this. And then Christ continues talking to him and telling him these things that he's going to see. Not only will you be the father of a great nation, a multitude of nations. Kings will be your descendants. He continues down that path. There was no doubt that he was going to be the father of many nations. See, the name Abram means father of many. And that had to be a hard name for a guy to bear that had not been able to have children with his wife, Sarah. That was tough. Especially in a culture that looked at this as having children is such an important part of who you are. It is incredibly difficult for him. And so he changes his name. And that's an important and incredible thing that he's going to do for him here. And he tells him, "I'm going to give you this land." He's going to make him into all of these nations. See, God made this promise delayed. Okay? This promise had been delayed, and now God comes back and says, "You know what? That promise I gave you, I'm going to expand on it. I'm going to do exceedingly more than you can understand." What a promise. See, this goes back to that idea that we can't outgive and outbless God. When we're faithful to Him, He is more than faithful to us. The Bible tells us that He owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. Nothing is out of God's reach. The promises that He made to us, He can keep. The blessings that He chooses to give us are permanent. They're expanding. Nothing can take them away from us except for God. And God is faithful. Have a good day. We'll see you guys again soon.